All right, guys, I have mentioned the project a couple times, and I told you we were going to talk about it after spring break, which clearly did not happen. So I'm going to talk to you about it on this video. Let me just say that you've got a module, a project module, and so all the project information is in that module. And if you can't find it, just let me know and I'll help you see it. But in that module is this document and 3 past projects that people have done about over this. So it can just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So the purpose of this project is for you to actually do statistics. And so you need to formulate a statistical question, design the study to answer the question, conduct the study, collect the data, analyze the data, and then use a statistical inference to answer the question. You're going to do all of it. So we're finally putting everything together. And you cannot properly do this project until we go over chapter 10. So just know that. But know that you're going to have a little bit of time. And so we go over chapter 10 the first week in April, and this project is due April 18th. So you'll basically have, after you learn chapter 10, you'll have a couple weeks to finish this and ask questions and do whatever you need to do. And so there's some steps. Find a claimed population mean or proportion from any written source. You'll need to cite your source. You'll use this value to create a hypothesis test. So whatever it is that you want to look into. So for example, one of the projects is they found a statistic that said 5% of people wash their hands, I believe. And your goal is to prove or disprove this statistic. And maybe you say, I think more than 5 people wash their hands. And so that's your argument. And so you're seeking to prove your argument. Define a population. So are you talking about Americans? Are you talking about Midlanders? Are you talking about women? Are you talking about teenagers? Whatever your population is. This is going to be the tricky one. Obtain a simple random sample of at least 30 observations. You're just going to need to do this in the most creative way you can. If you can use your Facebook to ask this question to get responses, because I know we're limited right now on our interaction with people. So I know we talked about sampling methods, and that's technically not the best way to sample, but we're just going to have to do the best we can under the circumstances that we're in. Conduct the hypothesis test using the appropriate procedure, which we'll talk about in chapter 10. Be sure to indicate all calculations and steps in your hypothesis test. What you need to include in your Word document, which can also be a PowerPoint, either or, which are the 3 examples that I uploaded. They were all PowerPoint, so really either or is fine. You need to include your title, an introduction, explaining your question and what you're trying to answer, why you chose this topic, what your hypotheses are, and how you'll analyze the data. Cite the source where you got the original claim. So where did you find that 5% of people wash their hands, or whatever it is, that stat that you're trying to disprove, basically. A definition of the population, details on the methods used for gathering the sample, be specific. Again, this one, if you use Facebook, say you use Facebook. If you reached out to family members, say that, although it needs to try to be random, so do the best you can. All sample data and calculations include graphs and summary statistics, and then a step of the hypothesis test, including the conclusion. Neatness, organization of thoughts, and clear presentation of ideas. Do not plagiarize. Upload your document in Canvas for grading. Again, it's due April 18th. There is a rubric on the next page that I will explain to you. Also, just remember that this is 5% of your final grade. And I am so happy to help you with any small questions, big questions that you have about this. Lastly, just as another reminder, this is over chapter 10, so this may seem very confusing until chapter 10, but you can at least be thinking about some random question that you've always wondered and maybe a statistic that you can find over it. And really a hypothesis test is you thinking, I think it's different than that. I think it's more, I think it's less. Like when someone told me, I'm about to make one up, so that's not what you should do, but I'm going to make one up. Let's say that 22% of Midlanders own cats. And I think it's less than that. So I'm going to go out and try to prove that. So whatever stat that you're interested in, start thinking about that. This is the rubric. So 4 is the most that you can get. It is out of 24 points. So obviously the goal is 24 out of 24. There's 6 categories. And so if you don't do anything, like if you don't have an introduction at all, you could get a 0. But to get a 4, it explains all the things you need. So obviously that's the goal. And then, the 3 is broken down, 2 and 1. And so just go ahead and look at this. Start familiarizing yourself with it so you can be prepared whenever you learn chapter 10.